بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وكذلك جعلنا لكل نبي عدوا شياطين الإنس والجن يوحي بعضهم إلى بعض زخرف القول غرورا ولو شاء ربك ما فعلوه فذرهم وما يفترون.
There is a quote for one of the scholars that says, I do not fear the jinn, I do not fear the shayateen of the jinn as much as I fear the shayateen of man. And when his students asked him why, he said, because the shaitan of the jinn, if I recite to him Ayatul Kursi, he will flee. I recite Ayatul Kursi, and this shaitan of the jinn will flee from the words of Allah Azza wa Jal. However, the shayateen of man, the devils amongst men, if I were to recite Ayatul Kursi on him, he will take it and interpret it. He will take the verse and interpret it. And this is the dangers of the shayateen of man. One might say, but this verse is referring to the enemies of prophets. Every prophet, Imam al-Mahdi is not a prophet. We say, correct, Imam al-Mahdi is not a prophet. But because Imam al-Mahdi alayhi salam is warithul anbiya, he is the inheritor of the prophets, therefore he inherits their enemies also. Now the enemies of Imam al-Mahdi salamullahi alayhi, there are three categories of the enemies. And we will be discussing one, inshallah. The first category are those amongst the disbelievers, such as the Dajjal and his soldiers, and certain forces from the Ahlul Kitab, and what the Ahadith refer to as the Romans. These are one category. So the disbelievers, those outside the fold of Islam. This is not our subject of discussion tonight. The second are those amongst the Muslims, such as As-Sufyani, such as the Nawasib, who are in fact not Muslim but claim Islam. But also these are not the subject of our discussion tonight. The third category is the most dangerous to the plan and the mission of the Imam alayhi salam. And that is the enemy within. Those who claim tashayyu', those who claim the love of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, those who have claimed that they are awaiting Imam al-Mahdi alayhi salam, this enemy within, this is the most dangerous. The enemy within looks like you and I, talks like you and I, behaves like you and I, has the same belief system, walks the same, adheres to the same teachings, attends the same masajid, carries the same slogans. This enemy is harder to identify. The first of these groups that we find in the ahadith of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. The first of these groups are those who are Shia, however, carry deviant ideologies. Al-munharifuna fikriyan. In a narration, Al-Fudayl narrates, he says, سمعت أبي عبد الله عليه السلام يقول. We mentioned briefly this narration a few nights ago, but tonight, pay close attention to it. إن قائمنا إذا قام استقبل من جهلة الناس أشد مما استقبله رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله. Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam, Fudayl says, I heard Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam say that at the rise of our Qa'im, at the rise of Imam al-Mahdi alayhi salam, he will be faced with an ignorance or an ignorant people who are firmer in ignorance and who excel in ignorance and come with a type of ignorance that even Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alih faced against the kuffar of Jahiliyyah. Fudayl asks, وَكَيْفَ ذَلك? How is this so? The Imam alayhi salam, he says, إن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله أتى الناس وهم يعبدون الحجارة والصخور والعيدان والخشب المنحوت وإن قائمنا إذا قام أتى الناس وكلهم يتأول عليه كتاب الله ويحتج عليه به. Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam says, he says Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi came to a people that worship stones and boulders and wood and sticks and carved pieces of wood. These people are easy to debate. These people are easy to convince. He says, however, our Qa'im will come to a people who will come to him and argue with him with the book of Allah Azza wa Jal. They will use the Holy Quran to fight the Imam, salamullah. They will use the Holy Quran to question the Imam. They will use the Holy Quran to undermine the mission of the Imam alayhi salam. And this is a group of the Shia that do this. However, the Imam alayhi salam says regarding these people, ثم قال أما والله يدخلنا عليهم عدله جوف بيوتهم كما يدخل الحر والقر. He says, however, by Allah, the Imam alayhi salam will bring or will force justice into their homes, and justice will enter their homes the same way heat and cold enter their homes in the winter and in the summer. So this is the first group. This group have existed throughout the times from Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi up until today. From the Shia and other than the Shia. However, our main concern are those amongst the Shia. This is our concern for tonight. This is our discussion for tonight. Those who take the book of Allah Azza wa Jal and those who take the teachings of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alih, and due to their ignorance think that they are more worthy of its interpretation than Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. You might say, but today there are no Shia who reject or prefer other than the interpretation of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. Say, really, is this true? These people exist, whether it be the layman or unfortunately the scholar. And we'll get inshallah to the scholars. When the book of Allah Azza wa Jal says to me that this book, and there are several evidences in the Holy Quran, this book is a book of guidance. In it there is clear verses, and in it there are ambiguous verses. Correct? The Quran says this, speaking about the mutashabihat. These ambiguous verses, not everyone and anyone can come and interpret them. Not everyone and anyone can claim scholarship. Our ulama say one of the wisdoms behind having ambiguous verses in the Quran was Allah Azza wa Jal not capable of making the entire Quran clear. He was capable of making it clear for anyone who picks it up and reads it to understand it, understand all of it. However, Allah Azza wa Jal in His wisdom has chosen to make parts of this Quran clear so that whoever reads it understands it. But He has deliberately in His wisdom chosen and has informed you that I have deliberately chosen to make some of these verses ambiguous. Our ulama say one of the wisdoms behind this is so that the people, the Muslims, understand the need for Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. and understand how ridiculous a slogan like Hasbuna Kitabullah, the book of Allah Azza wa Jal, is sufficient for us, as some in the past did. We said that Islam is like a bird with two wings, Quran and Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. You can't claim to have just Quran. You can't. This is ridiculous. We have verses in the Quran that don't even make sense in Arabic. We have verses in the Quran that are simply letters. Kaf, ha, ya, ayn, sad. Tfaddal, come interpret this for me. Come interpret it, tell me. What does this mean? Noon, what does this mean? Alif, lam, mim, what does this mean? This is just a small example. You cannot come and claim that the book of Allah Azza wa Jal, and this is not downplaying the Holy Quran, no. This is downplaying our capabilities as sinful human beings in understanding the book of Allah Azza wa Jal and extracting the correct interpretation. However, today, we have in our world, in the Shia world, those who have studied and who have not studied. Hawzawi and non-Hawzawi. Scholar and non-scholar. The most disrespected profession and undermined profession in the world today is the profession of an Islamic scholar. Everyone's an Islamic scholar. Everybody. Everybody wants to interpret Quran. Everybody wants to interpret Hadith. Everybody wants to question the alim. Everybody wants to attack marja'iyya. Expert. You know, back in the days we used to say they wouldn't do this when it comes to their health. Unfortunately, today they are doing this now when it comes to their health. One of the biggest blows to intellect, to common sense, is when people refuse to refer to the people of expertise in a particular field. This is the most illogical thing a human being can do. I have a mechanical problem and I go ask every chef about the problem with my car. I have a health issue and I ask every plumber about this health issue and take their opinion. I have a plumbing issue, I go and I ask every doctor and I don't ask any plumber. This is illogical. And it is the same with our deen. It is the same with our religion. When I have a question regarding jurisprudence, for example, logic dictates that I ask the jurist or that I ask those who are in the field. Logic dictates this. And we hear a lot today these deviant groups emerging here and there. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Their numbers are not many. Alhamdulillah. But they exist. And they especially exist in the West. Because marja'iyya is based in Najaf, marja'iyya is based in Qom, marja'iyya is based in Karbala and in Mashhad, marja'iyya and our hawzat are based around the Middle East, in Lebanon, in Iraq, in Syria, in Iran. These people, they come to Sydney, to London, to New York, far away, they think, from the eyes of marja'iyya, وعلى راحتك, yeah? Because they're not supervised, they say and do whatever they want. Study 1-2 years. Put the amama on, come and interpret Quran and interpret Hadith and attack marja'iyya and attack our ulama. These are the very same people that the Imam alayhi salam is speaking about in this narration. That they will come with the book of Allah Azza wa Jal and they will attack Imam al-Mahdi alayhi salam. And the dangers of this, every one of our Imams almost was fought in this method. Deviant interpretations of the book of Allah. Kill Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam. Kill Al-Hussein ibn Ali alayhi salam. Kill Imam al-Hasan salamullah. Cause those to rise in the face of Imam al-Mahdi alayhi salam. We need to be extremely careful where we take our religion from. We find a common trend amongst these deviants, and we see them today, and watch out for them. Wherever there is an issue which is not firm, wherever there is an issue of discrepancy, wherever there is an issue of great argument, wherever there is an unpopular opinion, you will see them rushing towards it. Rushing towards it. Discussing it, talking about it. To show off their ilm. They talk about subject matters that should not be discussed. Yes, there are issues that should not be discussed in front of anyone and everyone. Absolutely. Say, oh, this is censorship. Yeah, this is censorship. This is censorship. This is how our Imams alayhum as-salam behave with their companions. This is wisdom. There are certain attributes our Imams alayhum as-salam would reveal to particular companions, certain miracles, certain secrets of the Imams alayhum as-salam they would mention and discuss in front of particular companions, but not in front of others. Why? Because the Imams alayhum as-salam, they know. They treat people ala qadri uqulihim, based on their intellect. The Imams treated each and every individual according to his intellect. If they knew this particular person is incapable of understanding or comprehending this particular truth, the Imam alayhi salam would abstain from talking about this thing in front of him. There are levels to faith, there are levels to knowledge, levels to ma'rifah. And wisdom is to know what topics to discuss in front of who and when. This is wisdom. Not to open up every topic anywhere in front of everybody just for the sake of speaking, for the sake of showing my knowledge. And picking the most mysterious and ambiguous of topics. There are things, unfortunately, some of the Shia choose to discuss openly and with everyone, not knowing, that whoever they are talking to does not have the tools to go and research or at least comprehend what is being said. Sensitive topics, there is no need to mention them. This is the problems we face. This is the problems we face. One of my teachers gives me one day a very beautiful anecdote, a beautiful equation regarding these people. He says, you want to know a deviant? Look for these characteristics. Look for these characteristics. كثرة الرأي. He is continuously giving his opinion. In my opinion, in my opinion, in my opinion. This is not a scholar. Even our maraja. I was reading an istifta for Ayatollah al-Uzma, Shaykh Wahid al-Khurasani, hafidhahullah, a few days ago. Someone had asked him, what is your opinion on a particular matter? Ayatollah Khurasani, in his response, this is a alim, this is a faqih here. He responds with the beginning, La ra'i lana. We do not have an opinion. I do not have an opinion. The opinion is that of the Quran and the Ahlul Bayt alayhum as-salam I merely extract it. Allahu Akbar. And then you get here, in my opinion, and in my opinion, and in my opinion, and attacking, which is the second thing my teacher says to me, attacking the ulama, attacking the established grand ulama, Shaykh al-Ansari, Shaykh al-Akhund, Sayyid al-Khou'i, Imam al-Khomeini. You get this here. Someone 1-2 years and then kicked out of Hawza, and then attacking the ulama and saying, yeah, they say this, but I say this. In my opinion, it's this. Wal-'iyadhu billah. He says, thirdly, attacking the establishment of the Hawza. Allahu Akbar. When you find these three things in an individual, know that this individual, there is something very, very not right at the very least about him or her or them.